All right, what's good? What's good? Welcome to the first installment of Phresh Perspective or Phresh Perspectives, whichever one. You know what I'm saying? It's whatever. My main goal here is I just want to kind of make a place where we can just kind of unwind and talk about either games that I've played through or some of the thoughts that I had after playing through a game. I'm kind of in this spot right now where I'm going back playing some older games and also some newer stuff, some stuff that I haven't played in a while or just things I've never experienced. And I just kind of want to capture and like have a place where I can or we can talk about that. It is the 19th of May. It's about 10 in the morning. It's my day off, so I got a little time to myself, do some recording. So I'm rocking with a little. We got a homemade espresso latte. Not no bougie stuff. I recently learned how to make my own espresso, but it is the elite way to drink coffee. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to start nothing, but it is, bro. But we got a little latte here, and then usually I have a snack. It's not snack, bro. It's full blown breakfast. Full blown breakfast this morning. My wife has some leftover pancakes, so I made chef me up a little bit of eggs. Um, but yeah, man. Today we're gonna be talking about my experience with Metal Gear Solid One. For years, I wanted to go back and play some classic games, not just for nostalgia, but to finally experience some of these classics and these legendary franchises that we still talk about to this day, slash, inspire a lot of the bigger franchises that have come out within the last, 10 years or so. And I figured what better place to start than Metal Gear Solid, the one and only. Metal Gear Solid 4 is genuinely one of my favorite games ever. The campaign is outstanding. I remember playing it when I was younger. I haven't played it in a while. It's been a while since the PS3 was like the main console, but I remember the story was great. But more importantly, bro, I remember Metal Gear Online 2, and I don't have the most experience in the world, but bro, that is my vote for probably the greatest PvP experience ever created. MGO2, man, I miss it so much. I know they brought it back a little bit on the PC, but it's just the player base isn't big enough. But man, MGO2, wow. Uh, it's also funny. A little core memory from this game is like I remember staying with my grandma's sister's house, and it was this dirty old raggedy, cockroach infested, bro. I got bed bug bites at this place. It just was hella dirty house, and I was staying with them. I can't remember why, but I was staying with them, and my grandma's sister's son had Metal Gear Solid 4, and that was the first time I ever played it. And when he would go to work, I would like sneak into his room, and I would play MGO2 on his PlayStation 3, bro. And oh my god, I'd play all day, all night. I'd be so happy when he'd go to work. And just like those core memories that are also tied to the game also like boost like how much I love that game. And I'm really excited for when I think the remaster or something like that is coming out shortly on PC this year. So I'm super excited to play that. But to be real, like I have always been intimidated by older games. You got really primitive controls. A lot of these consoles before my time didn't have analog sticks. And they got weird camera angles. I've never really played like isometric games. And I would look at the game and just think like, bro, like how am I supposed to play this? Like what does this look like? So definitely going into it, I was a little I wasn't scared, like nothing like that. But it was just more like I don't know if I'm gonna like this because it's not really what I'm used to. So I absolutely loved my time with Metal Gear Solid 1. And I am so excited to do a replay through now that I know like how to play the game and how the game works. I'm not really even the type to like replay games or anything like that, but it was just such a great experience, man. But I'm definitely not experienced. I definitely didn't experience it the way that it was originally experienced. There are a lot of ways you can play Metal Gear Solid 1. I chose to emulate the game. Most of that has to do with my love for tinkering with electronics, especially like the retro handhelds. You can use texture packs. You can use, you get better performance. There's a convenience of like having it on a handheld, so I could like play it on the couch. And that's been really nice, especially since I switched over to PC. It was just a different vibe, just get some couch gaming in. And also with like the quality and life improvements that have come with emulation, you know, and that's really the main reason why I chose to emulate the game rather than play like the remastered version on Steam or whatever. I wanted to experience a classic, but also with a little bit of modern comfort. And honestly, I think that's just how people should experience these older games. Because sometimes, you know, the brain and the way that you saw something back in the day is it doesn't really correlate to how we see now, bro. You know, back in the day, 40p was crazy. Nowadays, anything loads up in 40p, and you're gonna think your device is broken. So, so definitely, like I don't regret choosing the emulation route. I definitely think it did change some things. One of my main takeaways from this playthrough is just shout out Unc, bro. Shout out to everybody that grew up in the 80s and 90s that played these games, because you guys are built different and you have a different kind of patience and tenacity for playing games. One of the main features of emulation that I definitely used during the playthrough were save states. And on a certain parts, I had to go on Reddit and look up a guide, bro. Like I just had to. You know, people that experience this game for the first time, specifically, like I remember one time, I think it's in the liquid fight. There is a cutscene right before the liquid fight, and back in the day, bro, there is absolutely no way to skip through that cutscene. And so I cannot imagine, bro, if you've played this game like from the jump, like when it first came out, please tell me how long you stayed on one level, or like how many times you have seen the liquid cutscene or any of these other cutscenes that are right before like a boss battle or something. Because usually the save state is before the fight. And you know, on emulation I was able to just, you know, fast forward through it, whatever. But bro, like people back in the 80s and 90s literally just sat there and just went through the pain. It was just straight, like frustration was just part of playing video games. And I feel like that's something that only 80s and 90s gamers like really get and just have the patience for, bro. To add on to that, like even the like the Psycho Mantis fight, bro. Like how were you ever supposed to know to do that? I don't even know how somebody figured out like that's how you beat that. Maybe there's like a clearer way. I didn't start really understanding the use of the codec system until I started playing through the second game. So it's probably in there. But just like how are you supposed to know, bro? Like if it wasn't for Reddit users and the internet, I probably would be stuck still on that part, because I was like, dog, like I understand gimmicks and stuff like that, but it's just not clicking right now. But yeah, but somewhere in all of this, I started thinking about something, and I started thinking, you know, to myself, am I experiencing the game or am I just consuming it? Because the fact with like the save states and the ability to fast forward cutscenes and all that, it changes the tension, it changes the immersion of the game. You don't feel the same pressure. You know, I could reload instantly, and definitely like I know on the Rex fight, you can put a save state wherever you want. So there were, I'll be real, yeah, on the Rex fight, I definitely, like, you know, when I got him to half health to that second phase, I for surely put a save state. I was like, bro, I'm about to lose my mind. It's already been, you know, 30 minutes. I'm on this boss. I gotta, you know, I got stuff I gotta do. But you know, like the boss fights become less stressful and they're less punishing. They're, but it also makes them more approachable. So like in the grand scheme, like I'm not really sure how I feel like about this, because at the same time, using the save states, it doesn't change the fact that one, like I said, like I beat the game. I got to experience all of the game. It doesn't, like, the story doesn't hit any less. The story was great. The, you know, the comedy was great. The writing was great. Atmosphere was still there. The characters are still amazing. And if anything, like it kind of helped with the initial, you know, that I stated earlier about like the initial like hesitancy to jump into something a little old. It helped alleviate some of that stress and just made things just way more approachable. And maybe, you know, that's where like gaming culture has changed. uh you know, back then, I remember certain games that I used to play, and especially now, like replaying through Metal Gear Solid 1, you know, struggling for hours was part of the experience of a game. But now, you know, like we got work, we got responsibilities, limited time, and like for me personally, like, you know, I'm on shift work right now, so I wake up, I go to work, I come home, I try to hang out with the wife for a little bit, I'm back in bed and I'm back to the grind. It is what it is. But I only get like a small window to actually play each day, like, maybe an hour or so. And I don't have I don't have time, and I don't want to just sit there and, want to bang my head against the damn wall trying to beat, one boss, or making little to no progress trying to figure out, how the AI is fighting me and all their like, I just don't got the time for it anymore, bro. Like, I would personally rather finish a legendary game, experience it, and not just spend my whole life being frustrated. You feel me? So the past couple of days, as I've been looking into other games I want to jump into, I've been kind of jumping back and forth between some concepts of like accessibility versus like the earning it mentality and the grind mentality, convenience and immersion. But also I've been struggling with the concept of like, I don't think struggling automatically makes a game better. But I also think that, like, those high pressure, high intense moments, make memories like in games that we will never forget. And it's so much more rewarding after those very struggling times of when you're trying to figure out how to beat a boss, or you don't really understand and you have to use some creative thinking to get through it, and the ability to just hop on Reddit or Google or YouTube and, pretty much see how to not only beat a boss, but cheat a boss and just basically, break the AI, you know, diminishes that reward that you feel when facing these bosses and playing through these games. At the end of the day, I had an amazing time with Metal Gear Solid. And honestly, I'm happy that I finally got to play one of the legendary games that have ever been created. Even though it wasn't the, in quotations, like raw original experience. So I want y'all to tell me, in the comment section, how do y'all feel about save states? And do you think like these modern conveniences change retro games too much and almost like destroy like the immersion and the quality of the game because of these more modern abilities that emulation gives you? Or are there just different ways to experience things, and different strokes for different folks? And again, for the people who actually played this game back in the day and beat it on your own, like, bro, just shout out Unc, man. Shout out Unc, bro. And the last point I wanted to make, and I want to make it very clear, I did not say this. I never said this. The game said this, but you can call me Deep Throat. Bro, this might be the wildest thing I've ever heard in a video game, dog. Like, for real. That caught me so off guard. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about, bro. But appreciate y'all kicking it with me. Leave your thoughts in the comments so we can continue the good conversation. And be safe out there. Peace.